Reeves Immigration Law Group now brings you Immigration Law on Your Side.
Hello and welcome to another Immigration Law on Your Side right here at PHLV Radio. We're coming to you from the PHLV Radio Studios in Las Vegas. Kasama natin si Attorney Diza from San Francisco, California, from the offices of Reeves Immigration Law Group in San Francisco. Mga kababayan, magandang pag-uusapan natin yon because, getting a green card gives the applicant lawful permanent residence in the United States. Usually after a very, very long wait. But soon, you will find out that you have to go home. Babalik kayo sa Pilipinas for an extended period of time. Maybe, you have to dispose some of your property, take care of some unfinished business, take care of family, maybe finish schooling kasi mas mura ang school sa Pilipinas. Now, if you stay outside of the United States for an extended period of time and the lawful permanent resident, which is you, na may green card, will attempt to re-enter the United States, guess what? A port of entry officer or consular official may tell you na na-abandon mo na pala ang iyong permanent resident status or ang inyong green card. So masaklap ito mga kaibigan sa tagal mong hinintay, biglang nawalan ng status or nawalan ng visa ang iyong green card. So with us tonight is a partner at Reeves Immigration Law Group, Flomy, Javier, Diza, to discuss ways on how we can avoid abandoning your green card through re-entry permit. Ano nga ba ang re-entry permit? I-welcome na natin si Attorney Diza from San Francisco, California. Magandang gabi sa iyo, Attorney Diza.
Good evening, Kuya Johan, and it's always a pleasure to be here with you. It's a privilege to be at the public service at PHLV Radio. At this is our first time to discuss ng re-entry permit. There were some discussions about safeguarding your residency, which is kind of related to this, and abandonment or how not to abandon your green card. Pero this is a new topic for us, re-entry permit, and very timely dahil nagre-reopen na po tayo and hopefully wala na yung mga COVID and people are traveling again, right? Whether you're a green card holder or you're a citizen or Filipino citizen, we're traveling outside of our home residence or country of residence, and we need to take care of our green card if you are already issued one. So very timely ang ating pag-usapan, Kuya Johan, dahil as we all know, nag-ease na yung travel restrictions ng most countries. So we anticipate that there are people who might forget, to take care of their green card only to find out, as you mentioned, na na-abandon na pala ang kanilang green card. And ayaw natin yun dahil especially yung mga preference category where they waited for 10 years up to 18 years if they were married or sibling petition up to 20 years. So ano po yung gagawin nila para po maprotektahan ang kanilang green card status? So yun ang ating topic ngayon, and as you mentioned, ang pag-usapan natin ngayon is what is re-entry permit. Now, ang re-entry permit po mga kababayan ay isang document that a green card holder should get in order to protect yung kanyang green card status or green card residency if they plan, as you mentioned kanina, to travel to their home country, or outside the United States for an extended period of time. So yun po ang kanilang protection, di ba? Para hindi, wala ka ng green card and anong gagawin natin ngayon? Di ba? Mahirap mag-repetition kahit may asawa po kayong citizen, right? With the pandemic and with the suspension ni President Trump ng immigration for, yung 2 years ago, marami pa rin backlog. So hindi rin po kayo kaagad makakarating dito sa US. Even if you have a backup plan or, if you would say that, mag-repetition na lang po ako sa aking asawa o sa aking anak na, over 21. So yun po yung re-entry na kailangan i-apply ng ating kababayan if they intend to travel for at least 2 years.
Mm-hmm. So meron palang at least time period na dapat conscious sila. Pero kung mabilis lang naman, hindi naman nila ito kailangan. Say for example, 2 months, 1 month, hindi naman ito kailangan kung meron kang green card naman, attorney?
Hindi kailangan, Kuya Johan. I mean, may marami rin gumagawa niya, di ba? Lalo na pre-pandemic, pwede silang umulik dito para lang ma-protect yung kanilang green card status. So if they intend to stay outside the United States for only like less than 6 months, hindi po nila kailangan mag-apply ng re-entry permit.
Attorney, just out of curiosity, how does this look like? Is this like para ba itong visa na idinidikit sa passport din? How does it, or is this just a loose document na binibigay?
Ang re-entry permit ko yan is parang passport yan, di ba? Parang Philippine passport o US passport, ganun ka siya kalaki. So hindi siya kagaya ng work permit, or employment authorization na parang driver's license ang liit, di ba? Pero ang re-entry permit ay usually it looks like a passport na nakalagay doon ang validity ng inyong ang inyong re-entry permit. So kung 2 years yan, may mga stamp din yan at saka meron kayong picture. At ang nandoon din that you're a lawful permanent resident of the United States, and at the same time you are a country of of your citizenship.
If I have this parang booklet, can I use this as my main travel document, or kailangan palaging kasama pa rin yung passport?
It is recommended, Kuya Johan, that bring the passport, but depends on the country where you're traveling, right? Itanong po natin sa mga sa airlines or sa mga agencies where you book your flight, kung tinatanggap nila yung travel document. Mostly are accepting it, but just to be safe, mas mabuti po dalhin nyo ang inyong Philippine passport or passport of citizenship.
That's right. Okay, thank you for joining us mga kababayan sa mga late tuners natin. Pinag-uusapan po natin ngayong gabi ang re-entry permit, and the premise is you have a green card and you stay long in the Philippines. And pagbalik nyo dito sa Amerika ay hindi nyo alam, ito palang inyong legal permanent status ay hindi na valid. There is such a thing pala mga kaibigan. Kaya kailangan nyo ng re-entry permit as outlined by Attorney Diza. Attorney, paano ba kung halimbawa hindi mo ito alam, tumagal ka sa Pilipinas or you were not thinking that you were going to stay that long in the Philippines, inabot ka ng pandemic, inabot ka ng say for example, biglang yung negosyo mo, kailangan ka pa rin doon, humaba yung stay mo. What if you did not apply for a re-entry permit? Will you be able to apply this while you are still in the Philippines, or ano po ba ang mga remedyo kung hindi kayo nakapag-apply ng re-entry permit?
Unang-una, Kuya Johan, dapat ang re-entry permit should be applied while you are inside the United States. So hindi po pwedeng nasa Pilipinas kayo, pwede na mag-apply, at hindi rin pwede mag-extend. Let's say, pa-expire na yung inyong re-entry permit. So ang green card po kasi usually in-issue yan, di ba? Valid for 2 years if you're married to a citizen, or pag na-remove na yung condition or you obtain your green card through your family or employment base, binibigyan kayo ng 10 taon. So, ang akala ng karamihan na ating mga kababayan, okay na yon, di ba? So, pwede na sila mag-travel, pwede na sila mag-work, which is true. But also, remember mga kababayan, ang application for adjustment of status of green card or lawful permanent resident of the United States, you should be staying, working, studying in the United States. That's kaya tinawag na lawful permanent resident of the United States. And that's why if you are outside the United States for an extended period of time, pag mag-1 year na, to answer your question, Kuya Johan, pag mag-1 year na po ang stay ninyo sa Pilipinas, right, ang gagawin po ninyo is mag-book na kayo ng flight pabalik dito sa US. Kasi kung over 1 year na kayo, there is an adverse consequence, which is simply abandonment, no? So hindi ka na pakabalik dito, baka hindi ka na i-allow na mag-fly ng, even the airlines, they know what are the requirements that they need. So minsan kahit sabi mo 10 years pa yung validity ng green card ko, pero pag-check ng iyong passport na you've been here in the Philippines for over a year, right? Madadali sila dahil pag nag-submit sila ng flight manifest sa US Embassy at nakita ng embassy that you've been in the Philippines for an extended period of time, they might cancel your flight, at tatawagin ka doon sa airport that you cannot proceed, with your flight because your green card has been abandoned. So, sa mga kababayan natin, ang gagawin po ninyo unang-una, of course, is kung wala pang 1 taon yan, kailangan mag-book na kayo ng flight dito. Pangalawa, Kuya Johan, mayroong tinatawag na SB1, yung returning resident visa. Right? But before you apply with the SB1 returning resident visa, paalalahanan natin ang mga kababayan na medyo nag-ease ang restrictions, or batas ng immigration tungkol sa travel nung nagkaroon ng pandemic, 1 year, 2 years ago, where, even if you stayed in the Philippines for over a year, ang advice natin sa mga kababayan natin, especially, make sure that you consult an immigration attorney kasi mahirap na mag-jump into flight kayo kaagad at pumunta dito. Yung pala, as I mentioned kanina, hindi kayo papayagan ng airlines o ng US Embassy ng Manila. So, medyo ang restriction, Kuya Johan, tignan ninyo kung pumapayag ang airlines na bumalik kayo dito sa US even if you're over 1 year na sa Pilipinas. But ideally also, Kuya Johan, is to apply for what we call returning resident visa sa US Embassy where you reside. Now, you have to prove that you are a green card holder, that your visit in the Philippines or where you are is only temporary. Diba? So, ibig sabihin na nag-apply kayo or nag-fly kayo sa Pilipinas, umuwi sa Pilipinas with the intention of coming back right away. So halimbawa mayroon kayong return ticket, yung pala inabot kayo ng pandemic or nagkasakit po kayo doon, may nangyari sa pamilya ninyo, or may mga emergency that is beyond your control. So you have to, convince the embassy in Manila that, your stay in the Philippines was originally temporary, but it was extended because of your circumstances beyond your control. Wala sa control mo yon. So yun po ang tinatawag na SB1. And then, pag na-approve kayo dyan, issue po kayo ng returning resident visa for you to be able to come back in the US. Pero, if we can avoid that, going through this process, Kuya Johan, dahil medyo mahal din, di ba? At saka, medyo matagal din ang process, I would still, ang best option po ninyo, if you really plan to stay outside the US for over a year, is to apply for re-entry permit.
Wow. Mga kaibigan, I'm sure iniisip nyo na nung ikaw ay tourist pa lang, ikaw hindi pwedeng tumagal dito sa Amerika. Ngayong ikaw ay may green card na, baliktad naman ngayon. Hindi ka pwedeng tumagal sa labas ng Amerika.
That's correct, Kuya Johan. And I have heard stories from mga kababayan natin coming back na nag-stay doon ng matagal. Sasabihin nila, kung gusto mo, bakit ka nagtagal doon ng 8 buwan? Or bakit ka, kahit with the re-entry, sometimes yung tinatanong ka pa rin nila eh. So, sabi mo na lang sa amin if you don't want your green card dahil maraming may gusto niyan. Maraming naghangad na magkaroon ng green card. So, minsan nagkakaroon din problema pagpasok mo dahil ang USCIS or yung people at the port of entry, yung Department of Homeland Security, maraming tanong sa iyo yan. Diba? And they might, as we mentioned, they might refuse admission to you. But of course, with the proper guidance from immigration attorney, you have to explain the reasons why you were outside for this extended period of time.
All right. Okay. Attorney, isang sitwasyon, kung halimbawa meron kang emergency sa Pilipinas, the reason for you going home or going outside of the United States, not necessarily papunta ng Pilipinas, and nag-apply ka nga ng re-entry permit here in the United States at hindi mo na nahintay ang approval of that re-entry permit before you traveled, kailangan bang nandito ka physically present in the United States during the time of the approval or pwede ka nang mauna na nasa Pilipinas ka na habang hinihintay ang approval ng inyong re-entry permit?
That's really a good question, Kuya Johan, na marami sa mga kababayan natin nagtatanong at gusto nilang lalong-lalo na yung mga, as you mentioned, may mga emergency kailangan umalis or yung mga new immigrants din na kailangan bumalik at merong tatapusin, sasabihin nila, attorney, kailangan ko pang mag-retire, kailangan ko pang tapusin retirement ko or magbenta ng properties or tapusin ng pag-aaral or yung aking nursing board or medical board or etc. So what I advise client, as we mentioned kanina, if you plan to apply for re-entry permit is number 1, you have to be physically present in the US. So yung sitwasyon mo kanina, Kuya Johan, pag nandito na sila at may emergency, kailang umalis ng United States, mag-apply na kaagad. Pangalawa is, nandito sa US, is hintayin yung biometrics, right? Very important yan because that's one of the requirements to make sure that, wala kang other grounds of inadmissibility or wala kang overstay or, hindi ka deportable or removable. So, hintayin po ninyo ang resibo ng inyong application and then hintayin yung biometrics. The biometrics would come in depending on where you live, right? It might come in between 3 weeks to 3 months, diba? So, yung tinitignan mong time frame, Kuya Johan. Hindi ka basta pwede umuwi ka agad pagka-file mo. So you have to wait for the biometrics. Ayun in the Bay Area, California, and Nevada, ang hinihintay natin is probably around 2 weeks to around 4 weeks, which is 2 months, bago dumating yung biometrics appointment po ninyo para kukunin yung fingerprints at saka yung inyong picture sa USCIS. So pagkakuha muna ninyo, third step is you can go home already with your Philippine passport, kung gusto mo travel sa Pilipinas or sa Europe and to attend your emergency. Kasi po mga kababayan, ang re-entry permit ay kagaya ng ibang application sa USCIS, may processing time po yan. Hindi po ibig sabihin na pagka-file mo, i-approve ka na kinabukasan or next week or the next month. Hindi po. Meron po kayong processing time. So usually yan umaabot ng 6 months or over. So yung mga kababayan natin na kating-kating ng umuwi or gusto-gusto nang umuwi, right? Na wala pang approval, pwede na po. Ang importante ay nakapag-biometrics na kayo and pwede pa actually ipadala ang re-entry permit sa embassy at doon mo pick upin. Or pwede rin dito sa address nyo sa Amerika, di ba? Yung kamag-anak ninyo, yung kaibigan ninyo, dito nyo gamitin o sa abogado ninyo, dito ipadala, and once the re-entry permit is received in the US, then padadala na po sa inyo para yun ang gamitin ninyo pagbalik dito sa US.
All right. Okay, so mga kaibigan, tandaan po yan. Importante yung katulad ng sinasabi ni attorney, yung timeline. So make sure that you're able to abide by those requirements. Hindi basta-basta pwedeng umalis ka agad. Attorney, isa sa mga inaitatanong sa atin ng ating mga kababayan na may mga green card na, no? I'm gonna backtrack a little bit doon sa pinag-usapan natin na tumagal siya sa Pilipinas, no? Whether may re-entry permit or not. Pero ang unang tinatanong nila is, nakakaapekto po ba ito na pag matagal siya sa Pilipinas sa inyong eventual naturalization process in the future?
Yes, Kuya Johan, ang requirement ng naturalization or citizenship ay 5 years, di ba? Mm-hmm. Residency in the US and a green card holder. As a green card holder and being physically resident in the United States, except of course pag you're still married to a citizen, which is 3 years lang. So essentially, Kuya Johan, kapag let's say nandito ka sa US as a green card for 4 years, 4 na taon ka na, 1 taon na lang sana pwede ka na mag-citizen. Pero nag-decide ka na, mayroong job opportunity sa akin sa Japan or sa Pilipinas at kailangan ko umuwi. So nag-apply ka ngayon ng re-entry permit. So nag2 taon ka ngayon doon sa Pilipinas, di ba? So on the second year, so naka 4 years ka sa green card plus 2 years, so 6 years ka ng resident. So ang tanong ngayon is pwede ka pang mag-file. Pagbalik mo after your entry permit and after staying in the Philippines for 2 years, pwede ka na bang mag-file ng citizenship? The answer is no, because kahit po may re-entry permit po kayo, right, ang pinoprotektahan lang po sa inyo ay yung green card holder, yung green card po ninyo. Being a green card holder, hindi po yun nawawala. Pero yung naturalization or application for citizenship nyo, maapektuhan yun because the moment that you stayed outside the US for over a year, nakakat po yung continuous presence po ninyo for purposes of naturalization or citizenship. So in our situation, in our example kanina, since nag-stay kayo ng 2 taon doon, pagbalik mo dito, hindi po kayo pwedeng mag-apply ng naturalization dahil nakat po yung residency ninyo. So ang tanong ngayon, attorney, paano yan? Paano ako mag-citizen kung gusto kong mag-apply ng citizenship? Our advice sa mga kababayan natin is wait for another 4 years bago ka mag-file ng naturalization, provided of course majority of your stay nasa Amerika ka and wala ka nang stay outside the US for over a year. So yun po yung ang consequence po na despite having a re-entry permit, hindi po maapektuhan po ang inyong naturalization application or pending application.
Wow. Okay, attorney, at back of my head, I was thinking na may naalala akong pinag-usapan natin before, yung advance parole. When you had something in the USCIS and kailangan mong bumiyahe, kailangan natin yung advance parole. How does this differ from the re-entry permit, attorney?
The re-entry permit is for people who have green card or people who are green card holders. right? Para maprotektahan ang kanilang green cards so that they can travel outside the US for extended period of time, up to 2 years. So yung mga green card holder na nagta-travel palagi, right? Kasi ayaw mo, Kuya Johan, kahit sabihin mong, hindi naman ako nag 6 months or nag-1 year sa Pilipinas eh. So gusto kong pabalik-balik lang ako every 6 months. Pag 6 months ako sa Pilipinas, balik na ako. Bago mag 6 months, balik na ako. Now, kahit wala ko yung intention na tawag nito na mag-stay doon ng 2 taon pero pabalik, gusto nyo pabalik-balik, mas maganda pa rin mag-apply para wala nang maraming tanong pagdating sa port of entry nyo sa airport. Kasi otherwise, magkaroon ng secondary inspection. That's a probability scenario kung nag-stay kayo doon ng more than 6 months or even 1 year with re-entry. Kung may re-entry kayo, walang mga katanong-tanong.
Tsaka attorney, you never really know kung your plan is 6 months and all of a sudden, 2 months from now, ikakasal si pinsan mong ganito, magstay ka na muna. Medyo humaba.
Exactly, Kuya. Or may mga business ka doon, di ba?
Right.
May mga business interest ka, may mga restaurant, may mga pa-occupant kang condominium, stuff like that na kailangan i-attend. So yun yung re-entry for green card holders, Kuya Johan. Now, to answer your question kanina, advanced parole applies for people whose green card application is still pending. Naka-pending pa yan, di ba? So wala pa silang green card. So let's say, nandito yung isang kababayan natin on an H-1B visa, right? Nasa status siya, then pinetition siya ng employer through the employment-based petition at final na rin sa ang kanyang green card because it's available at nag-apply siya ng re-entry. Habang hinihintay ang kanyang green card, nag-apply siya ng tinatawag natin advance parole. Kasama dyan, usually combine na yan ng work permit. So usually nakakakuha ng kababayan natin ng parang driver's license, combo, work permit, and advance parole. Yun naman, kung may mga emergency silang kailangang umuwi, while their adjustment of status or green card application is pending, pwede yon through what we call advanced parole. So in other words, basic distinction ng dalawa, ang re-entry is for green card, ang advanced parole is people waiting for their green card and because they have a pending adjustment of status or green card application.
Wow, okay. So it's very important na ma-distinguish natin itong mga ito. Kaya tumutok po sa immigration law on your side because we have all of these topics discussed here on this program. Ilang beses na rin naming napag-usapan ang advanced parole. Attorney, isa sa mga itinatanong na ating mga kababayan, what if hindi talaga sila nag-apply ng re-entry permit at medyo pumaso yung kanilang LPR or legal permanent resident status or kanilang green card? What's the anong pwedeng gawin nila kung wala na talaga at hindi sila makakabalik?
Number one, mag-consult sa immigration lawyer. It's really very important because there might be some issues specifically applicable to you, right? Kasi case-by-case basis, we can give you some advice on how to come back to the US and probably retain your green card. But basically, mga kababayan, kung pumaso na kung nag-stay na kayo doon over a year, maraming yan nangyari sa ating mga kababayan during the pandemic. Despite their good intentions, good faith to come back, hindi sila makabalik, Kuya Johan, dahil unang-una may mga stay at home o tinatawag natin quarantine. Pangalawa, may mga flight cancellations, di ba? Dahil either maraming infected or wala gaanong pasahero kaya siguro yung airlines kinakancel ang kanilang flight. Especially these are very very common scenario during the last 2 years, Kuya Johan, and people are so anxious on how to come back. When they ask us, of course, ang unang thought natin is apply for SB1, yung returning resident. But there are situations, as we mentioned kanina, nag-is out ang policy ng Department of Homeland Security and Department of State where they allow people to come back, kahit 1 taon, 2 taon na because of the pandemic. But of course, you need to be very prepared and ready, right? When you book your flight, and of course, as we mentioned, we also prepare some legal brief sa mga kababayan natin who stayed there for over a year at hindi na sila naka-apply ng re-entry permit, para i-present dyan sa port of entry in case they ask many questions. Because Kuya Johan, mahirap po yung mga ang advice natin sa kababayan natin, lalo kung valid pa yung inyong green card, right? At nag-stay ka din over a year. And of course, you can show that you have exerted efforts to come back, right? Of course, as we mentioned, hindi mo pwede mag-apply ng re-entry dahil nasa labas ka. So the only other ways, number one, to try to come back. Or number two, mag-repetition po kayo sa family member ninyo, na immediate family member, wag naman yung maghintay ulit ka ng another 10 to 20 years. So, but as I mentioned, you have to consult an attorney on how to best, resolve your case if confronted with that situation.
Attorney, isa sa mga scenario na na-encounter natin at sinare din sa atin ng ilang mga listeners natin, we were discussing a similar topic before, pero na-share nila sa atin, say for example, na-abandon na nga, attorney, and there must have been a compelling reason why nangyari yun. Umuwi sila ng Pilipinas at baka yung lola ay nagkaroon na ng bagong apo sa Pilipinas at mas gusto na nilang nandun sila. So, nagbago na yung kanilang isip, So, yung green card nila, yung isang anak, in the meantime, yung isang anak nila ay nandito din sa Amerika, yung unang nagpetisyon sa kanya. So, ang intention now is nagbago na. Well, gusto ko pa rin bumalik ng Amerika from time to time, pero wala na akong green card ngayon. So, ang ilan sa kanila nagtatanong, attorney, pwede ko bang isurrender na lang itong green card ko dito sa embassy sa Pilipinas, and then later on, I will just apply for a tourist visa para mabisita ko rin yung isa kong apo doon sa Amerika. Ano ang chances nito, attorney, and is it even possible to do that, surrender the green card and just get a non-immigrant visa in replacement?
Okay, bago po yung i-surrender ang yung green card, you have to consider keeping the green card, right? Just because, as we mentioned, mahirap makakuha ng green card at mahirap ang processing time, may paghihintay at maraming naghahangad magkaroon ng green card. Unang-una, dahil let's say may magkaroon kayo ng medical condition sa Pilipinas, right? Mas maganda pa rin ang medical treatment dito sa US. Pangalawa, let's say may pinetition kayong other family members, hindi yun ma-abandon. Diba? Kasi once you surrender your green card, wala na rin yung petition ninyo sa anak ninyo. Let's say, 5 taon na kayo. But, kung walang kondisyon na ganun, Kuya Johan, and you are 100% sure na ayaw ko na muna, wala naman akong pinipetition, malusog pa ako, okay naman ako dito, mayroon akong doktor na kapatid na tumitingin sa akin, and tama ka na I cannot stay in the US ay masyadong malamig kasi nasa New York ang aking anak, or simply wala akong kausap sa California kapag nagtatrabaho ang anak ko, stuff like that. Yes, the answer is yes, surrender your green card, try to apply for a tourist visa. But it's not guaranteed, hindi 100% na bibigyan po kayo. Kasi para ka rin lang, nagre-reapply ulit ng tourist visa, and you have to prove yung pinag-usapan natin, ano yung ties mo sa Pilipinas. Di ba? Bakit kita bibigyan ng green card, ng tourist visa, di ba? Ngayon, most likely kung ako consul, I would grant it dahil meron ka namang green card na di ba? So ang talagang intent mo na talagang bumalik. And many of my clients were able to get one, but as I said, it's not a guarantee that you get one. So that's number one, try. You can surrender and apply for a tourist visa, and if you decide to finally, stay in the US for a longer time, pwede rin ulit kayo mag-repetition. Of course, another process, another fees, but at least pagbalik po ninyo dito, you'll be a green card holder on the fresh new petition from your family member.
Wow. So, mga kaibigan, like what we always say, this process of immigration is exciting. Akala nyo, this program, Immigration Law on Your Side, wala kaming mga singing portion dito. Pero very exciting din itong Immigration Law on Your Side because of those scenarios. Marami tayong mga na-encounter ng mga stories here in Las Vegas or even in other parts of the country. Marami pa nga dyan yung, marami siyang apo, na itanong ko na ito kay attorney, meron siyang apo sa UK dito, and maraming configurations, and that's why you have to stay tuned not just on one episode but marami pang ibang episodes ng Immigration Law on Your Side na dikit-dikit itong mga kwentong ito. So, abangan. And by the way, guys, Immigration Law on Your Side is also a podcast. So, if you can't watch us on Facebook dahil kunwari nagtatrabaho ka sa casino, hindi ka pwedeng nanonood ng Facebook, makakagalitan ka. Edi download mo yung podcast edition of Immigration Law on Your Side, and you can just listen to us on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, or Spotify. Nandyan din kami ni Attorney Diza. So, Attorney, maganda itong pinag-uusapan natin ngayon, short and sweet, pero napaka-importanting malaman ng ating mga kababayan. If you're just joining us, we're talking about what is re-entry permit. Attorney, before we head over to itong itatanong natin sa iyo, yung mga updates ngayon, baka meron pa po kayong ibang gustong idagdag with regards to the re-entry permit.
Yes, i-reiterate lang natin, Kuya Johan, that green card application is not easy, right? Especially those preference categories who are waited for a very long time, right? Or even people who are here on a, our status, DNT for a very long time, and they waited for the green card. So even if our lives back home in the Philippines, it's much better. Kasi yun palagi na-repeat natin sa ating kababayan natin, attorney, marami akong kakwentuhan sa Pilipinas, may mga katulong ako, may driver ako, may gardener ako, may cook ako. Life is more it's a lot easier in the Philippines than here. But tignan po rin natin ang mga advantages ng having a green card, di ba? Dahil may a lot of advantages din naman, lalo-lalo ng healthcare. Tumatanda tayo, mas maganda pa rin ang healthcare dito, mas mura actually, kasi we have heard many horrible stories where people in the Philippines retired, hindi ko naman nila lahat, di ba? Kung magkaroon kayo ng medical condition, huwag naman sana mangyari, naubos na yung retirement po ninyo, di ba? At least in the US, lalong-lalo kung may mga Medicare kayo or may mga contributions na kayo sa Social Security, still better to keep that green card with you, right? May mga other options naman po, as we mentioned, re-entry permit or come back to the US or discuss with us kung ano yung mga other options. So yun lang po ang masasabi natin sa ating mga kababayan with regard to your green card, right? Or better yet, mga kababayan, so kung plano niyo mag-retire sa Pilipinas, right? Hintayin na niyo yung 5 taon dahil madali lang naman ang naturalization, right? Wala pong bumabagsak na Filipino clients, right? Or meron pero konti-konti. Kung natatakot po kayo sa civic and history, very, very basic po yan. Elementary, kahit nakatapos ka ng grade 1, grade 2, may papasama ang civic and history and reading and writing. Kakayanin po natin kung wala kayong other problems, di ba? Wala kayong fraud or crimes or any other misrepresentation. Once you become a US citizen, right, hindi mo na kailangan ng re-entry kasi pinag-usapan natin kanina, this only applies for green card holders. Pangalawa, once you become a citizen, mag-dual citizen po kayo and you can stay in the Philippines forever if you want. And if you just want to come here after 5 years, okay din yun, right? So yun yung pinaka-best option nyo because you have the best of both worlds. You are a Filipino citizen without problem of staying in the Philippines for a long time without paying for sa BID na mga fees. At the same time, you can come back to the US anytime you want.
Wow. Napakagandang option mga kaibigan, and we've seen that sa ilang mga kababayan natin over the weekend when we had the Philippine Consular outreach here in Las Vegas. Ang Philippine Consulate General ng LA, they were here in Las Vegas over the weekend for those consular services, and ilan sa kanila ang mga nag-apply nga ng dual citizenship, and marami doon medyo mga nasa senior years na sila ay ganun nga ang kanilang balak makakapag-stay na sila din sa Pilipinas muli ng matagal without any restrictions, and inahabol nila baka gusto yata silang bumoto ngayong eleksyon. I'm not sure if it's still possible kung nakapag-register pa sila, but in any case, isa po yan sa mga options. And it was an exciting event over the weekend here in Las Vegas dahil mga kababayan natin nakita nila ang dati nilang dabarkads from Itbulaga, si Ruby Rodriguez, isa ng agent ng Philippine Consul General sa Los Angeles. So maraming selfiehan ang naganap noong weekend. So in any case, mga kababayan, these are scenarios na pwedeng mag-apply po sa inyo or pwede inyong makapulutan ng aral or idea kung paano nyo itatackle ang inyong situation. Ang mahalaga ay kumonsulta po kayo sa ating mga immigration lawyer especially sa ating mga kaibigan sa Reeves Immigration Law Group. Attorney, marami ang nababahala dahil dito sa ng kaguluhan na nagaganap sa Russia at sa Ukraine. And they were asking us here at the radio station, is there anything that might connect this sa immigration? Baka biglang bumagal ang immigration? Or ano po ba ang sitwasyon natin matapos sumiklab itong kaguluhan sa Russia and Ukraine?
We're hoping, Kuya Johan, that these issues and problems with Ukraine and Russia will end soon because, we don't want that another, catastrophic war would happen during our lifetime, di ba? Dahil hindi natin probably naabutan yung 1940s na World War II. As of now, Kuya Johan, it won't impact people from other countries, right? Only from Ukraine and Russia and the nearby countries like Poland and other nearby countries of Ukraine. But for the Filipinos and other embassies worldwide, hindi po tayo affected dyan as compared to like yung pandemic and yung tawag nito yung kay President Trump suspending the entry of immigrants. As of now, Kuya Johan, okay pa, okay naman. Even in the local offices, we are returning back. Wag lang magkagera. I mean, that's basically my answer to your question, Kuya Johan. Hindi ho maapektuhan ang inyong process, immigrant visa and adjustment of status, right? Just because, hindi naman involved ang mga officers doon sa Ukraine and Russia. So, hopefully tuloy-tuloy yan and as we are easing out the restrictions and going back to normal, we have heard may mga issuance ng USCIS that they're going back to in-person interviews, full capacity, 75% to full capacity. Dati kasi Kuya Johan from 10 to 30% lang. Diba? So hopefully babalik na tayo sa normal at sana it remains that way. Sa mga kababayan natin naghihintay ng kanilang mga green card, marami pa rin backlog, marami pa rin mga naghihintay ng interviews din sa embassy. Just keep looking at checking out your SEAC account, right? Kung ano na po ang status noon, kung kailangan bang mag-submit kayo ng mga updated documentation, lalo na mag-apply na tayo at syempre we are required to file our taxes sa mga petitioners at sa mga sponsors. Kailangan i-update ang inyong income tax returns, di ba, para doon sa inyong applications. So, yun ang ating hope, Kuya Johan, for this March, April, and the subsequent months.
Maraming salamat po, Attorney Diza. Also, mga kababayan, on our previous episode na pag-usapan natin, yung sa H1B, may nag-text dito. Balikan lamang po ang ating episode regarding that kasi napapanahon yon for this especially April. Attorney, at this point, I'll give you the floor. Baka meron pa po kayong mga ibang announcements from Reeves Immigration Law Group.
Yes, Kuya Johan, maraming salamat for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to do public service at magbigay ng kaalaman tungkol sa immigration. At you mentioned that is only for purpose of our discussion. Kung may mga specific issues po kayo, don't be shy to call our office. You can see it on the screen. It's 415-568-3777. We are still offering free legal consultation by Zoom, by telephone, in person. It's kind of limited pa ngayon until we hear from the partners consensus that we are going back to in-person consultation. But of course, nakikita naman po ninyo kami through Zoom. So yun po ang ino-offer natin sa mga kababayan natin. As I mentioned, kung may mga other issues lang kayo, just to confirm and verify. Kasi whether you go with us or you do it yourself with other attorneys, it's a lot better to have a second consultation, right? Just to make sure that you are doing the correct process and correct application process. You can also check our website at www.reeves.com where we update our success stories and our approvals and updates ng immigration. We also have social media. You can check our Reeves Immigration Law Group, my personal FJ Diza, US Immigration Attorney. and Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn accounts. So yun po ang advice natin sa mga kababayan natin, and keep on listening to PHLV Radio. I cannot overemphasize that listening, lalong-lalo yung mga nasa abroad, mga kababayan, listening to Filipino songs on PHLV Radio, will give you more energy, right? At memories. At the same time, they're really good songs, Filipino songs on this station. And of course, don't forget to share our episode of Immigration Law on Your Side and all the programs of PHLV Radio. Again, maraming salamat Kuya Johan at sa lahat po ng mga viewers and listeners natin. God bless and take care. And don't forget to vote for the Philippine elections. Malapit na. Less than two months na lang po. Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Attorney Diza from Reeves Immigration Law Group based in San Francisco, California. Dyan po ang phone number ni Attorney on your screen. You can call him, and after the show, we're going to play the Reeves Immigration ad. You can see all the other numbers there para po naman matawagan nyo or mag-contact po kayo sa Reeves Immigration Law Group. Again, maraming salamat po for joining us tonight on Immigration Law on Your Side. And for those listening to us on our podcast edition, maraming salamat. Thank you for downloading it and for joining us tonight on Immigration Law on Your Side, brought to you by Reeves Immigration Law Group. From PHLV Radio Studio, ito po si Kuya Yo. Maraming salamat, and we will see you next time.
Reeves Immigration Law Group has been representing immigrants for nearly 40 years. Reeves Immigration Law Group has been fighting for its clients through experience and expertise. With immigration lawyers you can access at reasonable fees, even on Saturday. Payment plans are also available. Call us for your immigration solutions. We can do worldwide telephone and Skype consultations. Reeves Immigration Law Group, 1-800-795-8009. Reeves Immigration Law Group has offices in Los Angeles, San Francisco, China, and Philippines. See us at www.rreeves.com. Reeves Immigration Law Group, 1-800-795-8009.
Reeves Immigration Law Group has just brought you Immigration Law on Your Side, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Pacific on PHLV Radio.